If you're enjoying this heartwarming story about unexpected connections and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more touching content that reminds us of the beauty in human connections. The teacup trembled in Michael's hands as he stared at the elderly woman across from him. Her eyes, bright blue and surprisingly sharp, held his gaze with quiet desperation. "Please," she whispered again, her voice barely audible above the cafe's ambient chatter. "My daughter will be here any minute. Just pretend you're her fiancé. Just for today." Michael glanced down at his 5-year-old daughter Emma, happily coloring beside him, oblivious to the strange request. He'd only wanted a peaceful afternoon tea, a rare moment of calm in his chaotic life as a single father. Now this stranger was asking him to participate in an elaborate lie. "I don't understand," he began, but the old woman's eyes filled with tears. "She's flying back to London tomorrow. I may never see her again. Please, just give me this one happiness before I die." Before Michael could respond, the cafe door chimed, and the elderly woman's face transformed with joy. "She's here," she breathed, reaching across to squeeze Michael's hand with surprising strength. "Remember, your name is David. You're an architect. You proposed in Paris." And just like that, Michael found himself entangled in a web of deception that would change his life forever. 3 months earlier, Michael Bennett had been drowning. Not literally, though some days, that might have felt like a mercy, but drowning in the overwhelming responsibility of raising his daughter alone while trying to keep his small bookstore afloat. The morning had started like any other. The frantic rush to get Emma dressed and fed, the desperate search for her other shoe, the hurried drive to drop her at kindergarten before opening his shop. Routine chaos. His new normal since Caitlin's death 2 years ago. "Daddy, I don't want cereal again," Emma complained, pushing away her bowl of soggy cornflakes. Michael sighed, checking his watch. "Sweetie, we don't have time for anything else. Please, just eat a little bit." "Mommy used to make pancakes," Emma said quietly, her small fingers tracing patterns in spilled milk. The words hit Michael like a physical blow. He knelt beside her chair, brushing a strand of hair, so like her mother's, behind her ear. "I know, Em. I miss Mommy's pancakes too. Do you think she makes pancakes in heaven?" Michael swallowed hard. "The best pancakes. With extra blueberries, just how you like them." Emma nodded solemnly, then took a reluctant bite of cereal. "Tomorrow can we have pancakes? Tomorrow's Saturday. We'll make pancakes together, okay? With chocolate chips." Her face brightened. "Promise? Promise." He kissed her forehead, ignoring the tightness in his chest. Another promise to keep. Another day to somehow make special despite his exhaustion, despite the bills piling up on his desk, despite the emptiness that still ambushed him at unexpected moments. After dropping Emma at school, Michael drove to Bookmark, the small independent bookstore he'd opened with Caitlin 6 years ago. Their dream. Now his burden. The morning light filtered through the display window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The shop was quiet, too quiet, most days. Online retailers were slowly strangling small businesses like his, and the pandemic had only accelerated the process. He flipped the sign to "Open" and settled behind the counter, pulling out the account books he'd been avoiding. The numbers hadn't improved since last week. Or the week before that. At this rate, he had maybe 6 months before he'd have to close for good. The bell above the door jingled, and Michael looked up, pasting on his customer service smile. Mrs. Abernathy, one of his regulars, shuffled in with her canvas tote bag. "Good morning, Michael dear," she called, making her way to the mystery section. "Terrible weather we're having, isn't it?" Michael glanced out the window at the perfectly clear blue sky. "It's actually quite nice today, Mrs. Abernathy." She waved a dismissive hand. "My bones say rain." "Never wrong, my bones." He smiled despite himself. Mrs. Abernathy was eccentric, but she bought at least 2 books every week, which made her practically a patron saint in Michael's eyes. "New shipment came in yesterday," he offered. "The latest Louise Penny is on the front table." Her eyes lit up. "Oh, wonderful. I've been waiting for that one." As she browsed, Michael returned to his accounts, the numbers swimming before his eyes. He needed a miracle, or at least a wealthy investor with a soft spot for dying bookstores. The morning crawled by with only a handful of customers. By lunchtime, Michael had sold 3 books and a greeting card. He was contemplating closing early when his phone rang. Emma's school. His heart rate instantly doubled. "Hello? Mr. Bennett? This is Nurse Gladys from Oakwood Elementary. Emma had a bit of a fall during recess. Is she okay?" Michael was already grabbing his keys. "She's fine, just a scraped knee and a bump on the head. But she's asking for you, and we do recommend she go home for the rest of the day. I'll be right there." He flipped the sign to "closed" and rushed out, mentally calculating how much revenue he'd lose by shutting down for the afternoon. It didn't matter. Emma mattered. When he arrived at the school, he found his daughter sitting in the nurse's office, her knee bandaged, dried tear tracks on her cheeks. She brightened when she saw him. "Daddy. I fell off the monkey bars. Miss Gladys gave me a purple bandage." He knelt beside her, examining the bandage and the small bruise forming on her forehead. "That was quite an adventure, huh? Does it hurt?" She shook her head bravely. "Only a little. Can we go home now?" After signing her out, Michael carried Emma to the car, her small arms wrapped tightly around his neck. These were the moments that gutted him, when he couldn't protect her from pain, when he was reminded of how fragile their little world was. "How about ice cream?" he suggested impulsively as they drove away from the school. Emma's eyes widened. "Before dinner?" "Special circumstances," he said with a wink. "Brave girls who fall off monkey bars get ice cream privileges." They stopped at Scoops, the local ice cream parlor, and sat at a small table outside with their cones, chocolate chip for Emma, coffee for Michael. As Emma chattered about her day, Michael's phone buzzed with an email notification. The landlord. Another rent increase. He put the phone away without reading the full message. Not now. Right now was for Emma and her purple bandage and the chocolate ice cream smeared across her chin. "Daddy, why do you look sad?" Emma asked suddenly, her perceptiveness catching him off guard. "I'm not sad, sweetheart. Just thinking." "About Mommy?" He hesitated. "A little bit. And about grown-up stuff." She nodded wisely. "Like taxes and vegetables?" He laughed, the sound surprising him. "Exactly like taxes and vegetables. When I grow up, I'm never going to eat vegetables or pay taxes," she declared, licking her ice cream with renewed vigor. "Bold strategy," Michael said, reaching over to wipe her chin. "Let me know how that works out." As they finished their treats, Michael made a decision. The bookstore could wait. The bills could wait. Even the landlord could wait. "What do you say we play hooky for the rest of the day? We could go to the park, maybe see a movie?" Emma's face lit up. "Really? But what about your store?" "The books will still be there tomorrow," he said, surprising himself with how little he cared in that moment. Today is an Emma day. They spent the afternoon at the park, then caught an early showing of the latest animated film. By the time they arrived home, Emma was yawning despite her protests that she wasn't tired at all. After tucking her in and reading 3 bedtime stories, one more than usual, another ice cream level special circumstance, Michael collapsed onto the couch with a glass of wine. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of settling wood. He pulled out his phone and finally read the landlord's email. The rent for the bookstore was increasing by 15% next month. Unsustainable. He'd have to dip into Emma's college fund just to keep the doors open through summer. Michael rubbed his eyes, feeling the weight of single parenthood pressing down on him. Caitlin should be here. They should be facing these challenges together, laughing about Emma's playground adventures, taking turns with bedtime stories. But Caitlin wasn't here. She'd never be here again. And Michael was so damn tired of doing it all alone. He opened his laptop and began searching for job listings. Maybe it was time to admit defeat, to close the bookstore and find something stable. Something with benefits and regular hours. Something that wouldn't drain every ounce of his energy and still leave him struggling to make ends meet. The thought of giving up their dream made his chest ache, but what choice did he have? Emma deserved security. She deserved a father who wasn't constantly stressed about money, who could afford to take her on vacations and save for her future. As he scrolled through corporate positions that made his soul shrivel, Michael's phone buzzed with a text from his sister, Kate. "How's my favorite niece? Still on for Sunday dinner?" Michael typed back, "She's your only niece. And yes, we'll be there. She fell at school today but is fine. Purple bandage equals instant healing." Kate replied immediately, "Poor baby. Extra dessert on Sunday. How are you doing?" He stared at the question. How was he doing? Barely keeping his head above water. Failing at everything except loving his daughter. "I'm fine," he typed. "Just tired." "Liar," came Kate's response. "We'll talk Sunday. Love you both." Michael closed his laptop without applying for any jobs. Tomorrow. He'd figure it out tomorrow. The next few weeks passed in a blur of routine and worry. The bookstore's sales continued to decline despite Michael's best efforts, a new display featuring local authors, a children's story hour on Saturday mornings, a social media campaign that consumed his few free hours. Emma seemed to be thriving, at least. Her kindergarten teacher reported that she was reading above grade level, no surprise there, given how many books surrounded her at home, and making friends easily. But sometimes, Michael caught her looking at family photos with a wistfulness that broke his heart. "Daddy," she asked one night as he tucked her in, "do you think you'll ever get married again?" The question blindsided him. I don't know, Em. Why do you ask?" She shrugged, clutching her stuffed rabbit closer. "Lily's mom got married again, and now Lily has a new dad and a baby brother. She says it's better having two parents." Michael sat on the edge of her bed, choosing his words carefully. "Some families have two parents, some have one, some have grandparents or aunts and uncles. All kinds of families can be good families. But don't you get lonely?" The innocent question pierced him. "Sometimes," he admitted. "But I have you, and you're the best company in the world." She seemed to consider this. "If you did get married again, I think I'd like a mom who makes pancakes. And maybe a sister. Not a brother though. Boys are gross." Michael laughed, tucking the covers around her. "I'll keep that in mind. Pancake making skills, essential. No gross boys. Promise you won't get married without telling me first." "That's definitely a promise I can keep," he said, kissing her forehead. "Good night, sweet pea." "Night, Daddy." As he turned off her light, leaving the door cracked open just the way she liked it, Michael wondered if Emma was right to worry about his loneliness. He hadn't dated since Caitlin died, hadn't even considered it. Between Emma and the bookstore, there simply wasn't time. And the thought of opening himself up to that kind of loss again was terrifying. But sometimes, in quiet moments like this, the emptiness of the house seemed to echo around him. The silence where Caitlin's laugh should be. The cold side of the bed where her warmth belonged. Sunday dinner at Kate's was a welcome distraction. His sister had always been his rock, especially after Caitlin's death. Her husband, Tom, was equally supportive, and their teenage sons adored their little cousin. "Uncle Mike, watch this." 14-year-old Zach performed an elaborate handshake with Emma, who giggled delightedly at being included in the cool kids' rituals. Kate handed Michael a glass of wine as they watched from the kitchen. "She looks good." "Happy." "She is, mostly," Michael said. "She asked me about getting remarried the other night." Kate raised an eyebrow. "Interesting. What prompted that?" "A friend at school got a new stepdad and baby brother. I think she's starting to notice what other families have that we don't." "And how do you feel about that idea? Dating again?" Michael shrugged, taking a sip of wine. "It's not even on my radar, Kate. Between Emma and the store." "The store that's slowly killing you?" Kate interrupted. "The store that keeps you working 60 hours a week for less than you'd make as a barista?" "It was our dream," Michael said defensively. "Caitlin's and mine." Kate's expression softened. "I know. And it's a beautiful dream. But Caitlin would want you both to be happy and secure, not struggling to keep a sinking ship afloat." "I'm thinking about closing," he admitted quietly. "The new rent increase is the final nail. I just can't make the numbers work anymore." Kate squeezed his arm. "I'm sorry, Mike. I know how much it means to you." "What will I tell Emma?" "That bookstore is her connection to her mother. She loves spending afternoons there, helping me shelve books, reading in the kids' corner Caitlin designed. She'll understand. Kids are resilient. And her connection to Caitlin is in her heart, not in a building." Michael nodded, not entirely convinced. "I've been looking at job listings. Corporate stuff mostly. Soul-crushing but stable." "What about teaching? You have that English degree gathering dust. Schools always need good teachers, and the schedule would work well with Emma." The idea hadn't occurred to him. "Do they even hire people without education degrees?" "There are alternative certification programs. Tom's cousin did one last year. She was in finance before, hated it, now she teaches 3rd grade and loves it." "Huh." The possibility settled in his mind, taking tentative root. "I'll look into it." After dinner, as Tom and the boys cleared the table, Kate pulled Michael into the living room. "I have something for you," she said, handing him an envelope. Inside was a check, a substantial one. "Kate, what is this?" "It's an investment, not charity," she said firmly. "Tom and I want to help with the bookstore. Maybe you could renovate, add a coffee shop component? Or use it as a cushion while you figure out next steps." Michael stared at the check, emotion tightening his throat. "I can't accept this." "You can and you will. We've been saving for a kitchen remodel, but this is more important. Family comes first." "Kate." "Shut up and say thank you," she said, punching his arm lightly. He pulled her into a hug. "Thank you. I don't deserve you." "No, you don't," she agreed cheerfully. "But you're stuck with me anyway." On the drive home, with Emma dozing in her car seat, Michael felt a glimmer of hope for the first time in months. Maybe he could save the bookstore after all. Maybe he didn't have to do everything alone. The next morning, energized by Kate's generosity and support, Michael dropped Emma at school and headed to the bookstore with renewed determination. He'd make this work. He'd find a way to honor Caitlin's memory while building a sustainable future for himself and Emma. He was so lost in planning that he almost didn't notice the woman standing outside the store, peering through the window. She stepped back as he approached, offering an apologetic smile. "Sorry, I was just checking your hours. Are you open?" "Just about to be," Michael said, unlocking the door. "Come on in." She followed him inside, looking around with obvious appreciation. "What a charming space. I love independent bookstores." Michael flipped on the lights and moved behind the counter. "Thanks. We try to create a welcoming atmosphere. Can I help you find something specific?" "Actually, I'm new to the area." Just moved here from Chicago for work. I was starting to write a very long story based on your title. Let me continue and finish it. The woman smiled, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear. I'm looking for recommendations, actually. The best way to get to know a place is through its bookstores, I think. I couldn't agree more, Michael said, warming to her immediately. What do you like to read? Everything. Literary fiction, mysteries, the occasional science fiction. I just finished The Midnight Library and loved it. Great choice. Have you tried The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue? Similar themes but different execution. Her face lit up. That's on my list. I'll take it. As Michael retrieved the book, he found himself noticing details about her, the way she studied the shelves with genuine interest, her quiet laugh when she spotted a childhood favorite in the classics section, the ink stain on her index finger. I'm Michael, by the way, he said as he rang up her purchase. Michael Bennett. Owner of this struggling establishment. Olivia Chen, she replied, extending her hand. New professor at Westfield College. English department. Really? I have an English degree gathering dust somewhere. The best kind, she said with a smile. They age like fine wine. After Olivia left, promising to return, Michael found himself thinking about her throughout the day. There was something refreshing about her presence, no pity in her eyes when he mentioned being a single dad, no awkward questions about Emma's mother. The next few weeks brought unexpected changes. Olivia became a regular at the bookstore, often stopping by in the afternoons to browse and chat. Michael found himself looking forward to her visits, saving new arrivals he thought she might enjoy. One rainy Tuesday, with the store empty except for them, Olivia mentioned a literary festival the college was organizing. We're looking for local businesses to partner with, she explained. Would you be interested in hosting some events? Author signings, readings, that sort of thing? That sounds perfect, Michael said, excitement building. The store could use the exposure. Great. The committee meets Thursday evening. Would you like to join us? Michael's face fell. I'd love to, but I don't have childcare in the evenings. Bring her, Olivia suggested easily. My office is full of books she might enjoy, and the meeting shouldn't run more than an hour. That Thursday marked a turning point. Emma was enchanted by Olivia's collection of children's literature and the colorful artwork on her office walls. The committee members welcomed Michael's input, and by the end of the meeting, Bookmark was slated to host 3 major events during the festival. As weeks passed, the partnership with the college breathed new life into the bookstore. Literary events brought in customers who returned for regular shopping. Michael added a small coffee bar using part of Kate's investment, creating a cozy space for students and faculty to linger. And somewhere along the way, Olivia became more than a customer or business partner. She joined them for Sunday dinners at Kate's. She helped Emma with a school project on butterflies. She brought soup when Michael caught the flu that swept through Emma's class. You like her, Kate observed one Sunday as they watched Olivia and Emma planting flowers in Kate's garden. She's become a good friend, Michael said carefully. Kate rolled her eyes. Please. I haven't seen you look at anyone that way since Caitlin. It's complicated. It's really not. You're alive, Michael. It's okay to act like it. 3 months after Olivia first walked into his bookstore, Michael found himself sitting in Rosie's cafe with Emma, enjoying a rare peaceful afternoon. The bookstore was closed for renovations, the coffee bar was being expanded after its unexpected success, and Emma had requested a fancy tea party with her dad. More sugar, please, Emma said regally, holding out her cup. I think you've had enough sugar, Your Highness, Michael replied, amused by her attempt at sophistication. But Daddy, proper tea parties need lots of sugar. Olivia said so. Did she now? I'll have to discuss her influence on you. Emma giggled, then suddenly looked past Michael, her eyes widening. "Daddy, that old lady keeps looking at us." Michael turned discreetly. An elderly woman sat alone at a corner table, her teacup untouched before her. She was indeed watching them, her expression a mixture of longing and something else he couldn't quite identify. "Maybe she misses having tea with her own family," Michael suggested, turning back to Emma. A few minutes later, as Emma became absorbed in drawing on her paper placemat, Michael felt a presence beside their table. The elderly woman stood there, her hands trembling slightly as they gripped her purse. "I'm sorry to disturb you," she said, her voice soft but clear. "But I've been watching you with your daughter, and—" She hesitated, then leaned closer. "Please, could you do me a tremendous favor?" Michael raised his eyebrows, instantly wary. "What kind of favor?" The woman glanced nervously toward the door, then back at Michael. "My daughter is meeting me here. She lives in London now, and I rarely see her. She's been disappointed in me. Thinks I interfere too much." "I'm sorry to hear that," Michael said, still confused. The woman took a deep breath. "She's arriving any minute. Would you," she lowered her voice to a whisper, "would you pretend you're my daughter's fiancé? Just for today?" The teacup trembled in Michael's hands as he stared at the elderly woman across from him. Her eyes, bright blue and surprisingly sharp, held his gaze with quiet desperation. "Please," she whispered again, her voice barely audible above the cafe's ambient chatter. "My daughter will be here any minute. Just pretend you're her fiancé. Just for today." Michael glanced down at Emma, happily coloring beside him, oblivious to the strange request. He'd only wanted a peaceful afternoon tea, a rare moment of calm in his chaotic life as a single father. Now this stranger was asking him to participate in an elaborate lie. "I don't understand," he began, but the old woman's eyes filled with tears. "She's flying back to London tomorrow. I may never see her again. Please, just give me this one happiness before I die." Before Michael could respond, the cafe door chimed, and the elderly woman's face transformed with joy. "She's here," she breathed, reaching across to squeeze Michael's hand with surprising strength. "Remember, your name is David. You're an architect. You proposed in Paris." And just like that, Michael found himself entangled in a web of deception that would change his life forever. Because the woman who walked through the door, the daughter from London, was Olivia. Michael froze, his mind racing to make sense of the situation. Olivia had never mentioned her mother lived in town. She'd talked about growing up in Chicago, about her father's death years ago, but never about a mother nearby. Olivia spotted her mother and smiled, though Michael could see tension in the expression. Then her gaze shifted to Michael and Emma, and her smile faltered. "Michael? What are you doing here?" Before he could answer, the elderly woman rose shakily to her feet. "Olivia, darling. What a wonderful surprise. I was just getting to know David and his lovely daughter." Olivia's confusion was evident as she looked between them. "David? Your fiancé, dear," her mother said, beaming. "He's been telling me all about the proposal in Paris. So romantic." Michael watched understanding dawn in Olivia's eyes, followed quickly by hurt and betrayal. She stared at him, waiting for him to correct her mother, to explain. "Mrs. Chen," Michael began carefully, "I think there's been a misunderstanding. Eleanor, please. We're practically family now." Olivia's face hardened. "Mother, what have you done?" Eleanor Chen's smile faltered. "I was just having tea when I spotted this nice young man and his daughter. Such a coincidence that he's the David you've told me about." "I never told you about any David," Olivia said coldly. "Because there is no David." An uncomfortable silence fell over their corner of the cafe. Emma looked up from her coloring, sensing the tension. "Daddy? Why is Olivia mad?" Michael touched his daughter's hand reassuringly, then stood. Mrs. Chen, Eleanor, I think you should tell your daughter the truth. The elderly woman's shoulders slumped. I just wanted her to be happy. To have what I had with her father. By inventing a fiancé? Olivia's voice was tight with anger. By involving my friends in your lies? I didn't know he was your friend. I just saw a nice man with his daughter and thought. Eleanor trailed off, tears welling in her eyes. Michael stepped in gently. Olivia, your mother asked me to pretend to be your fiancé just moments before you arrived. I was trying to figure out how to respond when you walked in. Olivia closed her eyes briefly, composing herself. I'm sorry she involved you in this, Michael. My mother has a history of meddling in my personal life. Because I want you to be happy. Eleanor protested. Living alone in another country, no husband, no children. I am happy, mother. My career fulfills me. My friends enrich my life. Not everyone needs marriage and children to be complete. Michael felt Emma tugging at his sleeve. Daddy, can I have more tea? The simple request broke the tension. Olivia's expression softened as she looked at Emma. Hey, butterfly girl. That's a beautiful drawing. Emma beamed. It's a butterfly garden. For your office. I love it, Olivia said sincerely, then turned to her mother. We need to talk, but not here. Not like this. Eleanor nodded, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. I'm staying at the Parkview Hotel. Room 312. I'll come by later, Olivia promised, then turned to Michael. I'm so sorry about this. No apology needed, he assured her. Family is complicated. After Eleanor left, Olivia sank into the chair across from Michael. I can't believe she did this. Actually, I can. This is classic Eleanor Chen. She seems to care about you, Michael offered. By inventing fiancés and pressuring me about grandchildren? Olivia sighed. She means well, but she can't accept that my life choices are valid. Parents sometimes struggle to separate their dreams from their children's reality, Michael said, thinking of his own hopes for Emma's future. Olivia studied him. You're being very understanding about being roped into a fake engagement. Well, there are worse people to be fake engaged to, he said with a small smile. Something shifted in Olivia's expression. Michael Bennett, was that flirting? Possibly. Is that okay? More than okay, she said softly. I've been waiting for you to be ready. Emma looked between them, her eyes wide. Are you going to marry Olivia for real, Daddy? She makes good pancakes. I had them at Aunt Kate's. Michael laughed, feeling lighter than he had in years. Slow down, Em. But you're right about the pancakes. That evening, after dropping Emma at Kate's for a sleepover, Michael met Olivia for dinner. They talked for hours, about her complicated relationship with her mother, about his grief over Caitlin, about their shared love of books and teaching. I've been thinking about what you said about my English degree, Michael admitted. About teaching. The bookstore is doing better with the college partnership, but I'm still not sure it's sustainable long-term. You'd be an amazing teacher, Olivia said. The way you connect with children at the story hours, how you helped Emma's class with their poetry project, it's clearly in your blood. Maybe I could do both? Teach during the day, run the bookstore evenings and weekends? At least until Emma's older. Or you could consider a partner for the bookstore, Olivia suggested. Someone who shares your vision but brings complementary skills. The idea took root immediately. Someone like you? She smiled. I might know a former bookstore manager from Chicago who's been missing the business side of literature while teaching theory to reluctant freshmen. As they walked back to her apartment, hand in hand under a sky scattered with stars, Michael felt the weight he'd carried for so long beginning to lift. The future still held challenges, Eleanor's meddling, balancing work and fatherhood, navigating a new relationship while honoring Caitlin's memory, but for the first time, he didn't feel like he was facing those challenges alone. 6 months later, Bookmark and Brew reopened with a grand celebration. The renovated space featured an expanded coffee bar, comfortable seating areas, and a new children's section designed by Emma herself. A partnership with Westfield College ensured regular events and a steady customer base. Michael divided his time between the store and his new role as a high school English teacher, while Olivia managed the business operations between her college classes. Eleanor, who had extended her visit indefinitely, became an unexpected asset. Her book club for seniors was the store's most reliable weekly event. On a warm Sunday afternoon, as Michael watched Emma and Olivia arranging flowers for the tables, he felt a presence beside him. "She's good for you both," Kate said, following his gaze. "Caitlin would approve." "I think so too," Michael agreed. Emma asked if Olivia is going to be her new mom. "And what did you tell her?" "That we're taking things one day at a time, but that Olivia loves her very much, and so do I." Kate squeezed his arm. "You know, when Eleanor first told me about her plan to find Olivia a husband, I thought she was crazy." Michael turned to her in shock. "You knew about that? Who do you think suggested Rosie's Cafe at exactly the time you and Emma would be there?" Kate grinned mischievously. "Eleanor and I meet for tea every Tuesday. Meddling mothers and sisters have to stick together." "You're unbelievable," Michael laughed, shaking his head. "You can thank me in your wedding speech," Kate said, walking away before he could respond. Later that evening, after the celebration wound down and Emma was tucked in bed with a new book, Michael and Olivia sat on the porch swing, watching fireflies dance in the gathering dusk. "Your sister finally confessed about her conspiracy with my mother," Olivia said, leaning her head against his shoulder. "Apparently we've been manipulated by experts. Do you mind? That our relationship started with a lie?" Michael considered the question. "It didn't, though. It started with books and coffee and butterfly projects. The fake engagement was just a catalyst. My mother still takes credit. Says her divine intervention brought us together." "Maybe she's right," Michael said, surprising himself. "Not about the divine part, but about intervention. Sometimes we need a push to see what's right in front of us." Olivia turned to face him. "And what do you see now?" "A future," he said simply. "One I never thought I'd have again. One with books and teaching and Emma growing up surrounded by love. One with you." "That sounds like a good story," Olivia murmured, leaning in to kiss him. "The best kind," Michael agreed. "One that keeps going." As night fell around them, Michael thought about the strange, winding path that had led him here, from loss to loneliness to an unexpected request from an elderly woman in a cafe. Life rarely followed a predictable narrative, he'd learned. The most meaningful chapters often began with the most unlikely openings. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories were the ones you never planned to write. If you enjoyed this heartwarming tale about unexpected connections and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more touching stories that remind us of the beauty in human relationships. Your support helps us continue sharing content that inspires and uplifts.